Okay, welcome to this video on integer subtraction basics. This is a continuation of our integer mathematical operations module. We started with integer addition and now we are to its opposite, which is integer subtraction. We're going to probably need several videos to get all this done, but we're going to focus on some strategies, and then we'll develop some rules from those strategies that you can use. And in the long run, most likely you will have this process memorized, but in order for you to understand it, we need to utilize a couple of strategies so that you really grasp this concept. So first we're going to use our integer counters, our integer counters, and that was our, remember when we did this in the to make 0 pairs, if you recall from our integer addition videos, and then you could use the filled in green circle for a positive one, filled in red circle for a negative one. Those made 0 pairs. In the same way, if you didn't have red and green markers or a set of red and green buttons to put down on your desk and work with, you could just write it this way with the positive 1, negative 1 represented here. Well, we're going to use that same setup, only in a little bit different way for integer subtraction. So I've got 3 problems here. What we'll do is we'll use the integer counters first, and then we'll go to our number line, and then we'll kind of sum it up with some rules, and then we'll have a video on its own just working different examples, okay, and hopefully using each of the methods for those as well. Alright, so with our integer counters, well, let's set this up. First of all, this problem right here, we start with a what? Is that positive or negative? It's positive, right? Because the positive sign is implied since there's no negative sign in front of it. So we have a positive 6. So how do we model that with our integer counters? Would that be green or red? It'd be green, right? And we need how many of them? 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we are subtracting, which is the same as removing, right? Removing, because if you had green and red buttons on your desk to work with, you could literally remove, when you subtract, remove 3 positives. Okay, realize what I just said there. Remove 3 positives. Notice that this is not a negative 3. The operation sign is this one right here. Use a different color. Operation sign is subtraction, so it's negative, and then there is no sign in front of this 3 after that for the integer sign, so therefore it's positive. And this one here is the operation sign, it is subtraction, and here's the integer sign, it is a negative. Okay, make sure that you understand that when I say operation sign, which is either addition or subtraction, multiplication, division, etc. That's an operation sign, and then the integer sign is whether that number itself is negative or positive. Okay? Alright, so we are subtracting a positive 3. So how can we represent that with this operation? Or I'm sorry, with these integer counters? Well, we can literally, in this case, get our eraser out and remove these 3, right? We can remove 3. We could remove these 3 too, it doesn't matter. But we're going to remove these 3. Literally remove that. Okay? And how many are left? 3, right? 3. So this answer is 3. And you knew that off the top of your head before we even started. 6 minus 3 is 3, right? Okay, so now on to one that's a little more complicated. Negative 6 minus a negative 3. Negative 6 remove negative 3. Okay? So in this case, negative 6, that's what we started with, right? Negative 6. So how do we model that? We have 6 red circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. from the negative 6, we are going to remove 3 negatives. Okay, so similar to what we did before, we need to remove, we're subtracting, remove 3 of these negatives, 3 of these. So we'll just take these last 3 right here. We're going to remove those, right? Because we're removing 3 negatives. 1, 2, 3 negatives need to be removed. Let's remove them. What are we left with? 3, they're red, so they're negative, right? So that answer is a negative 3. Negative 3. Okay? Alright, let's move on to the next one. Alright, here we have 6 minus a negative 3. Okay? This one is a little more complicated. This will become easy to you in the future, I promise. Okay, so we start with our 6, and they are positive, so they must be green. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we are taking away from that 3 negatives. Take away or remove 3 negatives. Okay, so let's remove 3 negatives. Uh-oh, we have a problem, right? We don't have 3 negatives here. All we have are positives, so how can we remove 3 negatives? Remember from our 0 pair discussion for addition that we can put in as many 0 pairs into a problem as we want and it won't change the original meaning, right? So if we need to be able to remove 3 negatives here, we've got to have 3 negatives in here. Okay? So how can we do that? Well, we'll do it this way. We'll add our 3 negatives, and then we need to put their opposite in there to keep everything essentially balanced and not change anything yet. So let's put their buddies in here, their opposites in here. Okay? So we have our original 6, and now we can take 3 negatives away. Okay, so we need to take 3 negatives away. Okay, we're not removing any 0 pairs. We only added 0 pairs to keep things balanced. But we can now remove these 3 negatives. Only the 3 negatives. Okay, watch what happens when we do this. So we remove those 3 negatives, just like the problem says. What are we left with? We are left with only positives, right? And how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 positives. Okay? So I hope you see how we did that. Now we're going to move on to, we'll do the same problems, only we'll do those with the number line, okay? Okay, got 3 number lines in here for us to use. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Remember, when we use a number line, we can since we don't have a 0 already plotted on here, we can establish that. So we'll just establish it approximately here in the middle. So here's our 0 point right here. And we need to go start where we need to start, which is in this first problem at a positive 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need to start at 0 and get to positive 6. Let's go out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Now we need to subtract 3, right? We're subtracting 3 of these positives. So when we subtract 3, we need to go in the opposite direction of the positive 3, right? When we were adding, we would always go in the direction of the integer sign here. We would always go in the same direction. In this case, we've got to go in the opposite direction of this integer sign because we are literally removing 3 positives. So we've got to remove them by going left, going negative, right? So we're right here. We need to go back 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is like saying 6 yards on first down, losing 3 yards on second down, and essentially we're at 3, right? We've got a net of 3 yards gain on those 2 plays. Okay, so let's put that answer in there. Notice we got the same answer as we did before. Okay, now next number line. Let's use this problem. Negative 6 minus a negative 3. Negative 6 remove negative 3. Okay. So negative 6, we've got to get out to negative 6 to start. I'll do this in red since we're going negative. Okay, here is our 0 point. So call it right there, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. Again, that's a little close together. I apologize for that. Okay, so we start at 0. We need to get out to -6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're at -6. Then we need to do this. We need to remove 3 of these negatives. So we've already got 6 negatives. We need to remove 3 of them. How do we do that? Remember, we go in the opposite direction of the integer sign. The integer sign is negative, which would be to the left. Since we're subtracting, we've got to do the opposite of that. So we've got to remove 3 of those negatives, which means we go to the right. We go positive. So we're right here. Let's go 1, 2, 3, and that gets us where? To -3, right? Same answer we got before, so that's good. -3. Alright, last one. 6 minus a -3. Okay, so let's use our number line for that. So again, we'll put 0 right here this time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we start at 0. We need to go +6, 6 in the positive direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gets us right there. Then we need to remove 3 negatives. So we need to, since we're doing subtraction, we need to go in the opposite direction of the integer sign. The integer sign is negative, which would be to the left. We are subtracting. We do the opposite of that. So this is telling us negative on the integer sign, which is left. We do the opposite of that since we're subtracting. So we need to go to the right 3 more places, right? So we're right here. Let's go 3 more. 1, 2, 3. That gets us to +9. Okay, same answer as before, +9. Alright, so from our 2 methods here, you can probably see that there are some rules that we can apply. So quickly we'll go through those rules that we have established, and this may even be easier for you after we go through the rules, and they'll make sense to you. So we've discussed what the operation sign was and what the integer sign was. Well, anytime in these cases where the integer sign and the operation sign were the same, what would we do? We would always add, right? So let's just break this down this way. 2 negatives, negative and negative, equal positive, right? Positive and positive equal positive, right? This was from our addition video. Okay, we didn't do that this time. Alright, so now we need to establish different. So negative and positive equals negative. Okay, and then positive and negative is going to be the same. Positive and negative equals a negative again. Okay, so those are our different cases. So when the operation sign is addition, which would be here, here, and here, and we have a positive sign for our integer, that equals positive. When we have addition of a negative integer, that is the equivalent of a negative. When we have a subtraction operation with a negative, that gives us effectively a positive. A negative and a positive equals negative. So to sum all of this up, so these go together. We start with a negative, okay? When the signs are different, which would be right here. That is a terrible color. Hold on. Okay, signs are different. That gives us a negative. Signs are the same. We get a positive. So those are the rules. Signs are the same. gives us a positive. Sums are different, gives us a negative, and that will continue on. So I will see you in the next video for more examples.